Welcome back on the Rice Unfiltered podcast. I am voice of your Rice Owls, J.P. Heath, Dunleavy family head football coach Scott Abell, coming up here in mere moments. Quick, friendly Owls reminders to follow us on Apple and or Spotify or whatever your podcast outlet of choice is. And subscribe to the Rice Owls YouTube channel. Give us those thumbs up. It certainly helps out with that algorithm. Stay tuned in just a bit. Rice first-year defensive coordinator John Kay coming up next. No stranger to the city of Houston, joined by Coach Abell, as always, in our familiar surroundings here. Good to be back in the Patterson Center.
Well, good to be here with you this morning.
Yeah. It's National Coffee Day as we record this. Yeah. What is your Java routine, or do you have one? I've seen you with –
Yeah, I'm grateful for coffee first, right?
Okay.
I'm very grateful that it exists. I have a unique experience with coffee. I didn't have my first cup until I was 44, 45.
Same, coach.
Never had a cup of coffee.
No
I was too into the soda world at that time, and thought I needed to make a change, and so tried coffee with a little bit of cream and sugar at first, and then we went all black pretty soon, within 6 months. And so now I'm a regimented guy. I have a couple cups in the morning. That's about it. 2 cups in the morning, 1 after lunch, and there you go. I'm a 3-cup guy day. Yeah.
I'm an iced coffee guy.
Oh, I'm not. I can drink hot coffee whether it's 105 out or it's 35 out. It doesn't bother me.
It matches up. Well, some coffee here this morning too, but 21-13 Navy takes the W. As you sit right now here, about 48 hours plus after that one, what are the thoughts? You said in the past, hey, at Monday, you've kind of gotten over it, but is that the case in this one? I know that was a tough one.
It was a tough one, and I've moved on. The program's moved on. You have to. You don't have a choice, right? The short memory approach is crucial, whether it's a great win for the program as it was in Charlotte or a tough loss on the road at Navy.
Mm-hmm.
The short memory applies. As I reflect, it's just a tale of two halves. Right, half one really went as probably as poorly as we could have scripted it to go. We didn't do a ton right, and when you go into halftime, kind of searching and really regrouping. In the second half, it's kind of the exact opposite, right? We controlled the game, controlled the tempo, and at the end gave ourselves a chance. If we can get the onside kick, a chance maybe to desperation to tie the game. Right, incredibly proud of our resilience in the game. That it would have been easy at halftime, down 14-0, to say, "Hey, I don't know if we're built for this." Instead, our guys did the exact opposite. We are built for this. Let's really show everyone how far this program's come, and we did that in the second half. Just ran out of time. We needed another quarter, but you don't get that. So there's your life lesson, and you get 60 minutes, and you need to use all 60, not just 30.
And a lot of that, you didn't have the time because Navy on the opening drive, they take, about 8 minutes on that opening drive. Textbook for Coach Newberry and Horvath. Kind of a magician. We were calling him up in the booth. How much did that set the tone on their end for you to, I hope this is a respective term, you had to kind of play catch up after they got that early lead that really established their momentum?
Yeah, well, I think it's an appropriate term and question. I think the key there is, they came out and established their game plan right away. Mm-hmm. And took control of the tempo of the game. They took control of the atmosphere of the game. And that's tough when you're the visiting team, you're on the road, to now try to regain that momentum. And we weren't really able to do that. The second half, we certainly controlled that half, but you're playing catch up. It's not like you're out in control and you had the opportunity to take over. We were playing catch up the entire time. But I want to take a moment and really, I give Navy a ton of credit. I've watched Navy up close and from afar for a long time, right? Just being the football coach I am. And that's as a talented Navy team as I've seen. I think they're incredibly well coached. And, there's a reason they were picked so high preseason in our conference. And so, looking at the big picture, we lose on the road 21-13 to a team that was picked near the top or at the top of our conference. There's a lot of positives to take away from that. the negative is we've got to play better early on. We got to be more consistent on offense, and we have to get off the field on third down on defense, right? Those are the simple things that jump out at you, but are hard to actually execute, and that's what we'll be working on.
I hope this is a fair question with the option comparison. Do you see the way they ran it? Like, hey, I know obviously first year for you, and Coach Newberry's been there a minute, but you said, hey, that's the way they ran it, kind of trying to keep you on your heels. That's a thing for the guys now that they've experienced that they can shoot for?
Well, yeah, I think, when you see yourself in a little different scheme, but kind of in the mirror, an older version, a more established version, you're able to see what the future could possibly look like in our version of option. So I think our guys saw that, but I think they knew it going into the game, right? The respect that we had given Navy offense coming into the game, was obvious. We had a great deal of respect, and they're very senior oriented, very established in what they do, and very confident, right? We're 5 games into now trying to establish who we're going to be inside our world, and so I was really proud of the way we fought. Kudos to Navy and Coach Newberry and what they've done up there, what they've built, and now we'll turn the page quickly and get on to our next opponent, which once again, we got another tough league opponent coming here.
Well, I want to hit some more positives of that one. I get excited for every big play. At least I try to. Some listeners may say, hey, why didn't you get more? Anyway, surrender that outcome. But when Play Wyatt made that pick, I just felt I lost it a little bit, Coach, because of what he's been through. He was at the podium. He just had the Good Works nomination. For those that don't know, he got injured at the first game of last year. That was a momentum turner of the game. And in play stepping up, I know with some injuries, how big was that, and how cool was it to see him get that play?
Well, very cool to see him make that play, and I'm really excited for him. The journey to get back after an injury, right? Him becoming a captain on this team, though he wasn't cleared all spring. It's a testament to who he is, how hard he's worked, and I say it often. I think good things come to those who work hard, and plays an example of that.
Mm-hmm. And you set a season high in passing yards. I know you still want to match that and pass that through the rest of the season, but Drayden Dickman, another good solid game, another touchdown catch. And I just talked to him right before we started recording, and he was nice enough to join us after the game, and so humble. But what's it like seeing Dickman kind of getting his feet wet, but chasing him or finding that momentum, it seems?
Well, I think that's important, right? You have a new system, new quarterback. You have a lot of guys moving around roles, right? And Drayden's doing a lot inside our offense, right? He plays some slot for us, plays some true receiver for us. And so, you got guys doing a lot of things. But to see that chemistry grow is exciting for us. You saw it at Charlotte as well. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's builds confidence in what we're capable of doing in our passing game, which I think was important, right? I think we needed to build some confidence, and we needed to find some continuity. And Drayden's given us that in our receiving core.
How about Enoch Goda gets 2 more field goals, but he's coming – I know you probably wanted 7 instead of the 3 on that first drive, but just how Enoch is being more consistent, and you can just see him walking with some swagger here.
Well, I said I think preseason I thought he was a great offensive weapon for us, and y'all have seen me run him out there a lot, right? I have a lot of confidence in him. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of that unit. Yes, we'd like to get, we'd like to have gotten 7 on that first drive. I thought we did so many things right there. We missed on a couple big opportunities, right, to capitalize there, and a couple penalties we had to overcome, and that just led to a field goal. So it's good to get points on the board, and the second field goal came in, we're trying to get in range. So the plan was, hey, let's take 3 if we can get there. And we'll have to onside kick at some point, right? And let's just see where we are if we get down in the field goal range. If it's under a certain amount of time, we thought that was the best approach. And it was the best approach, right? Getting that 3 right then, getting us within 1 strike. Then you got to rely on a little bit of luck and a little bit of execution with the onside kick, which unfortunately we didn't get. But a good effort there by Chase.
Segueing into some other things, I stopped myself. We haven't talked about your "we" mantra in this setting. I know you talked about it in other press conferences in your introductory one, and I saw it right as you come in. The video folks can see, but the audio folks no doubt have seen it plastered on social media. Just talk to us about win everything, win everywhere, with everyone. Where did that originate, and how it just kind of forms your culture?
Yeah, well, it does. It speaks to everything that we want our culture to uphold, what we want it to be about. And, it started years ago. We talked about it a lot throughout my early career. And then, when I got to Washington Lee, right, one of my offense assistants, Gavin Colleton, who was my first offensive line coach, who I'm incredibly close to, a dear friend, he had a win everything on his license plate, right? And so then we kind of turned that into a we slogan for that group and that unit. And then over the years it grew, right? The win everywhere came after a year I thought we struggled on the road. We added, at first it was just win everything, right? How are we going to be competitive? How are we going to strive to win everything we touch and put our heart behind? Then we got to be better everywhere we go, right? And then you just realize the importance of everyone playing a part in that. And so that's where the with everyone. So it kind of came in phases to where it is today. And it's been that now for probably a couple decades. I think the thing I will look back on and later in life when I hang up my whistle is that I have players from generations that talk about the we, that message each other, that may know each other through different families, like we did when we arrived here. One of our players here got a message from a player that was older than him at his high school, but they knew each other through their families and said, "Hey, congrats, you got Coach Abell. Don't mess up the we culture," right? and so for me, it is a living thing, and it's really how I personally try to live my daily life. How am I going to win everything everywhere I go with everyone I'm surrounded with? And simplest version, how are we going to be the best version of ourselves every day, no matter what we're doing, whether that's me at home as a husband or a community member, a church member, or a football coach. Mm-hmm. And so we want our players to embody and live the same way. And our group's really bought into that. But that's a challenge, right? Trying to be the best version of yourself every day is not easy.
You talk about winning everything, and you're a competitive guy. We talked in another episode about your baseball past. What would it surprise fans or listeners that you're competitive outside of football? Like, what do you mean game of checkers? Do you get really competitive, or something your wife would say you're really competitive?
My wife would say I'm too competitive.
Okay.
She would say I'm competitive to a fault. There's whether we're playing Scrabble or we're playing tennis. A quick story. My daughter grew up playing tennis, played in high school, and my wife took it up later in life after she retired and convinced me about 3 or 4 summers ago, hey, I signed us up for a mixed doubles tennis league in Charlotte. And, I quickly responded, be careful what you wish for. And I did. I said, you know who I am. And so are you okay with that? Like, I'm not just going to play for fun. And so we're in the middle of our very first match, and we won our first set 6-0, right? So we didn't lose a game. Second set, we're playing and we're down, I think, love 40. And I'm, in mixed doubles, you could attack it a couple of different ways. My wife plays the net for anybody who really cares when we play together.
We just had the tennis team lead.
That's right. I run the back line for as much as I can at my age. And so in that game, I was just really letting her get to more. And she looked at me and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, she goes, "You could have killed that." I'm like, "I'm just letting you get to more." And she goes, "No, let's finish this," right? She didn't want to lose a game. So maybe she's a little more competitive than she admits. But, it has been a part of, I was raised by in a family that was really competitive. Being the youngest of 3, you either competed or you got beat or you got beat down, one of the two. And so growing up in a family of the youngest of athletes, you better be competitive or you're going to be disappointed a lot. Mm-hmm. And that's just what I became. And I'm grateful for it now. It's probably given me some heartache through the years, but it's part of who I am.
You play to win, right?
I really just don't know another way.
So no pickleball yet? Nothing? You stick with the tennis,
huh? My wife and I would both say no. Have we dabbled in because some friends have gotten us out there? Yes. But we prefer the tennis, right? We'll leave the pickleball to the others for now. We'll see. But I do tell the staff regularly that I'm not sure anyone can beat me one-on-one basketball. They probably can. But that's how confident I am.
Now you're going into my territory here.
I know.
Okay.
I mean, I can still shoot, but, it's golly. I knew when I was 12 I was going to be a coach because I knew I couldn't leave the competitive world when my day was playing, no matter what sport.
All right, over in Tude in the offseason, we're going to get a game of horse going.
Let's go. I'm all about that. That is my speed now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Coach Kitley's team coming in, FAU, right behind us here on Saturday night, 6 o'clock. Fascinating. Ex-OC at Houston Christian, Texas Tech. And now the head coach, youngster, I say affectionately, what he's done at FAU. They've had some tough losses. They just took it on the chin against Memphis. But that often, more with Coach K in a second, but the way, is it the air raid that he tried to do at other stops, or is he just up-tempo more?
No, yes, there's
variation?
tempo. Yes, there's tempo. There's air raid principles. And, without question, they want to get you in space, use their athletes. And, year one for him, right? So they're really going through the same thing we're going through, right? Trying to get established in a new system with new players. And, I think they've done a fabulous job. They're very talented. They're well coached. And you can tell they're excited for what they're building there. The Memphis score is not indicative of what that game was, right? That game was tight going into the fourth quarter. And they gave Memphis all they wanted. So, come Saturday, we need to be ready, to play full quarters. That will be our message all week to our team, to play all full quarters, and let's put our best four together.
Coach K in the on-deck circle, discuss him making the transition from linebackers coach to DC and what he's meant, because personality, like we talked about last week, the team this year has been led by your defense.
Yeah, so, for me, arriving here, it's going to be important for me to hire a head coach personality of our defense, right? Someone that I knew I could trust and turn it over to, because I knew the work and the time and the effort that would go into getting our offense established here and what we needed to do. And it wasn't long after really spending time with Coach K, I knew he was the really perfect fit, not just for our program, but for myself. And he's the guy that I bounce a lot off of, not just defensive stuff. We have a lot of conversations, whether it's about schedule, practice schedule, travel schedules, recruiting. He's really become a really great right-hand man for me inside the program and our players, and very grateful for him. And you can see the way our defense is playing. We've been able to really build on momentum that maybe was here in the past, with now his personality and his strength and his ideas behind it, his vision. And I think we're excelling at an incredibly high rate on that side of the football.
Thanks for the time, Coach.
Appreciate it. Go Owls.
Be safe on those tennis courts and pickleball courts.
On the tennis courts, I'll be safe.
But I got you in horse, okay? I'm calling it right now. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
All right.
Rice Fight with Coach Abell, Dunleavy family head football coach for Rice House. Stay tuned. Coming up next, DC John Kay will join us on the Rice Unfiltered podcast. Welcome back on the Rice Unfiltered podcast. I neglected to mention they released a kick time for our game at UTSA coming up here soon at 6:30 on ESPNU coming up here soon. But we'll worry about that coming up. But right now we have first-year defensive coordinator John Kay, no stranger here to Rice. He was a linebackers coach the last few years, and told me preseason, he reminded the media, his 30th year coaching in the city of Houston.
Indeed, yep, 30th year this year. Yep.
I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah, well, it doesn't feel like it, but it's certainly the truth. So,
your first job was at a junior high, correct?
Yep.
What junior high was it?
Cunningham Middle School on the east side of Houston here in Galena Park ISD. So spent 2 years there, moved to North Shore High School, which that's a feeder to North Shore. So I kind of followed those kids through and, spent a good chunk of time, 25 years plus at North Shore before moving on to Rice.
Yeah. 4 state championships, right? Off the top of my noggin, or 3? Is that right?
4, yep.
Yeah, 4. Yep. See, they run together. He's won so many state titles at the high school level. When you were coaching at Cunningham Middle School, did you think, I want to be a head coach at Galena Park North Shore one day and then get into college? Go back in the mind of young John Kay then. What did you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I moved down here to Houston from Detroit, and my goal was to coach high school football in Texas. And so, that could have taken me to Dallas. It could have taken me to San Antonio. Could have taken me to McAllen. I had no idea. I'd never stepped foot in the state of Texas before coming down. And so, my goal was always to coach high school football. Loved it. Really enjoyed this transition to college ball, and to stay in Houston has been awesome. But, I don't know that I ever set my sights specifically on the college game.
More on Coach K's bio in a second, because like you heard a part of it, it's a great story. Discuss, now that we had a little time after the Navy loss, some things that, you reflect on and hope the team grows from after that loss at Navy?
Yeah, I mean, a ton of things, a lot of opportunities for improvement for us. Specifically in the first half, coming out a little bit stronger. I think that's an area that we've been pretty good at up until this game of coming out strong in the first half. And for whatever reason, I didn't feel like we were real sharp. We still have to get a lot better on third down, and that certainly bit us against Navy and prolonged some drives. There's areas against the run and against the pass equally that we just need to continue to grow. But I got full confidence that these guys, we've watched the film, we've made our corrections on yesterday, and it's time to turn the page and move on to FAU. But certainly got a lot of hills to climb, moving forward.
Well, your message is getting through to the guys, because Clay Wyatt was nice enough to join us post-game, and he said that exact same thing about getting better starts. First with play, since he had the big pick, everything he's gone through, how cool of a moment was that? It didn't work out in the end, but just everything Clay's gone through. And 2 years ago, you were coaching him partly. What does it mean for him to come full circle in a way?
Yeah, I just think it's a great story. Anytime a college athlete has an opportunity to battle back from injury, and battle he did. And so, there's a lot to that story, and I think the best is still in front of him. And so, to see him get out there and still get his sea legs under him, it was exciting to watch him go out there and play. But I think we're expecting a lot from him, and I think he'll continue to grow the more he becomes, again, reacquainting himself with the defense and what his role is, and so it's an exciting time for him.
Talk about some other individual players on the defense. We could go here an hour and a half, because so many guys have made plays early on, but Ty Morris, I never want to say you expect great players to be great because they're human, but how have you seen him mature now in his junior year?
Yeah, I think as good as Ty does on the field, I think his growth is really the intangibles. I think his leadership has been off the charts. His work ethic has always been there, but now that he's in a position to kind of be in the forefront, I think that kind of bleeds into all these guys, whether they're veterans older than him or the first-year guys coming in. I mean, he's got a work ethic that's second to none, and I think a lot of guys just try to keep up with him, and that's made a huge impact, I think, just on our defense as a whole. And so, the production on the field is what it is, and it speaks for itself, but I think a lot of the stuff, whether it's in the meeting room, here in this weight room, or just in these hallways, are where he's truly making his mark.
He confirmed with me before the season that he still wants to be an anesthesiologist. And I haven't told him yet, because I don't have that weight, but you do. He might have to put that on hold. You come to Rice to do great things, but a next level type of player, but a next level type of human being too.
No doubt, yeah. I mean, I think he's going to have a world of opportunities in front of him when he gets his Rice degree, and I think certain part of that is going to be the NFL, and so he's got that kind of talent, and more importantly, he's got that kind of work ethic, and so I'm excited to watch him continue to mature and know he's going to do great things.
Discuss the corners and what Coach Motkins has done. And with the portal, you guys, and more on the D-line in a second, y'all have added, and this goes back when Coach Smith was here on the defense, and you were the linebackers coach, but it seems like you've had the right hits there in the corners room. Discuss what Porter has done, what Crump has done, and just the way Coach Motkins leads them. He gets after them. I've been there at practices, but he has some great players to work with now. Yeah,
he does, and I think he does a great job of identifying talent, and he developed so many great corners from his time at TCU. I don't think there was any doubt what he was going to be able to do here, and I just think he saw the development of a kid like Sean Fresh and Max Ahoya in the past, and I think Amari Porter and Kyrie Crump, those are guys that are benefiting from it as well. And Jarek Harper is a guy that's been giving us some snaps, and so you mix that with the young guys that were here. I think Levante Johnson's got a lot of upside that's going to show up now that he's back and healthy and in the mix, and I just think there's a lot of guys in that room that are going to continue to develop, and seeing them contribute, especially guys that are newer to the defense, is exciting but not exactly surprising.
The defensive line been very refreshing, how you just come at them in waves. Ty Warren, first backup in the offseason when you and Coach Abell got together to make that hire, how big it was that he wanted to make the commute down from Nacogdoches at SFA to come here with that pro pedigree and his illustrious college career in College Station, just what Coach Warren meant and some of the guys he's coaching.
Yeah, I mean, I just think you look at his resume as a player, and how can you argue with that? And I think that was the most exciting thing for us, is to bring a guy that's been where he's been, and is truly can say, I've done this, and this is what it's going to take. And so when he sits down with these guys and talks, especially our guys with NFL aspirations, I don't know that we could provide a better resource. And the reality is he could coach anywhere in this country, whether it's at the NFL level or the college level. And strong family man, and his family's here in Houston, and I think that played a large part in attracting him here. And I think a large part of retaining him is the kids that he's coaching. And I know he loves coming to work. He loves coaching these guys. They're sponges, and that's what you learn about these Rice guys when you start coaching them. And if you're a true teacher of the game, which he is, you can be around some pro athletes that just kind of feel like they're entitled to greatness because of their own talent. Ty's a teacher. Ty's one that's going to mold the clay and understand that not everybody's got what he has, but regardless of that, find ways to bring out their best. And I think you can't argue with the results of what he's done so far this year with this group.
Yeah, the first time I met him in the offseason, he's not talking about a depth chart. He calls it a trust chart. Yeah. But a lot of guys rotating in there. One of those, Michael Daly, I know having a lot of the older defensive linemen, Michael among those, that helps. But what has Daly done? He had, the 2.5 sack game or 2 sack game at Charlotte. Just what have you seen from, I call him the old man, but Pops.
We
I know
all
y'all
call him Pops.
Him.
Yeah. And so, that's, I think, one thing that we've been able to do with the D-line is, Ty's really been able to focus on the tackles and the noses and the D-ends, and Taylor Sauer's really focusing on the rushes with Michael Daly and Tony and Ethan and Chibi. And so having that specific coach for those rushes, I think, has been huge. And I think Daly has really kind of benefited from him, not just on his on-the-ball experience in rushing the passer, but also his off-the-ball linebacker stuff. And it's such a unique position, and there's just so many dynamics involved with playing it correctly that, I think Michael's done an outstanding job rushing the passer, but I think his off-the-ball stuff is continuing to grow, and that's an area I think all those guys need if they do have aspirations to play at the next level.
Another one of those that will have that chance, Blake Banish. Got to know him a little bit because he's been here forever and a day and come from the Rice farmer family there down the road in Needville. Just what have you seen from Blake in his maturation that lets you know he's ready? I always tell other broadcasters, like, he's got the good kind of nasty, old farm boy nasty.
There's no doubt. I think the thing that gets lost in Blake is he's an amazing athlete. I mean, he'll be a kid that's running 19 miles an hour on his GPS, and in the past we'll go to a baseball deal and he'll be hitting home runs. We'll go to a golf and he's driving the ball 300 yards. We'll play around and have the D-line kick field goals and he'll drill them from 35 yards. I mean, he just has some athleticism that a lot of guys his size don't have, and I think he's really benefited from the influence of Ty Warren, and again, a guy that has NFL potential, but the ability to turn that into NFL production. And I think for so large part of his life, he was always the best athlete on the field, and now, especially in this conference, that he's competing with other best athletes on the field. Kind of developing his work ethic, developing his technique to understand that he's going to play other great players. And I think he's done a great job of that. And I think sometimes that's a hard transition for older guys that are used to dominating. But I couldn't be more pleased with where he's at right now.
More on the coaching specific job. This recruiting area so well with your time at North Shore, as we touched on earlier, inside the Beltway, the Loop, everywhere, nooks and crannies. How much has that helped as a comfort level for you and your recruiting? Obviously, Texas high school football, I'm biased, is the best in the nation. Sure. But how much has that helped you ease into this spot that you've been at a few years now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's been the biggest part. I'm not trying to recruit strangers. I'm recruiting through my friends. I mean, these are guys that I've known for 30 years and I've worked along, and some broke a lot of huddles with, and others competed against. And I think there's a thick fraternity amongst the Texas high school coaches, which I'm still proud to be very much a part of. And so to be able to pick up the phone and call somebody that knows me and I know them, and I think there's a trust level there in terms of turning over their kids to us, and at least making sure their kids know what Rice University can offer and how they can be developed here, I think has been huge. And so, especially with a staff coming from out of state, being able to make those connections and know how to get those guys out in the community, and then they take the ball and run from it, which I think they've done a phenomenal job of. And, so it's always going to be part of the game, and it's a part that I enjoy.
Yeah. for someone, imagine there's still some few non-Texans out there. We forgive you for not being Texan, I joke. If they don't know the fervor of Texas high school football, and you've been at that pinnacle of the coaching level, explain to someone that might not be unfamiliar, not have read Friday Night Lights or seen the movies or the hype videos. What has it been like and kind of molding you as a coach, and what does it mean?
Yeah, I think, when you're talking about the resources of high school football, there is none greater. I think now having the opportunity to kind of travel around the country and recruit, there's great coaches everywhere. I've been to Georgia and been out to Arizona and been up to Michigan. There's great coaches everywhere, but in terms of the resources that coaches have available here in the state of Texas, and one of the reasons that I came down here as an educator was, they viewed high school athletics in the same vein that I viewed high school athletics, which was a huge part of the fabric of public school education, and the understanding that, probably a strong athletic program is the best at-risk program you can have in the public schools today. And I think that gets lost in a lot of the other states, and I think they get it here in Texas. And so, I've seen so many, great athletic performance, but I've seen a lot of young men's lives saved because of the resources that they pour into not just football, but athletics. And it can be the same said for the fine arts programs and the ROTC programs and, things that enrich a high school. And so I think the state of Texas has it right that they're funding these programs, they're providing these resources, and so you get the best of both worlds. You get very strong athletic programs that can develop kids as well as any college that there is around, as well as kids having the experience in that 4 years of high school of being part of something, and I think that's what separates Texas.
Who was a coaching influence that was heavy early on or throughout your rise in the coaching ranks?
Well, David Amon, he's a Hall of Honor coach in the THSCA now, and a guy that I worked under starting in middle school all the way to his retirement in 2014. So, I don't think there's a day that goes by or a call that's made that isn't somehow influenced by him. And that just goes with, I think, any part of the coaching fraternity, and then everybody you work with, you take a part of them. And a vast majority of my influence has probably been assistants that I've worked with more than head coach and mentors, and that's the same now. I'm learning from Jeremy Motkins and Kerry Cooks and Ty Warren and Justin McIntyre and Mark Hogan and Taylor Sauer. I'm pulling stuff from them. We'll meet in 20 minutes again, and it's every day's a learning experience, and so the longer you do it, the more people that you meet that somehow touch you and at least bring something to the table that you can steal and bend and modify, and I've been lucky to be around some great coaches.
The branches are thick on your coaching tree. I think we've said in the past.
They're,
right?
no doubt. But they're more part of my fabric than I am of theirs, I promise you.
Yeah. Let's discuss FAU going, and Coach Abell talked some about going against that spread, but what Coach Kitley has done. I know it has a little Leachism to it, but like every offense, like I think you've explained in the past, it's a combination of a lot of things. What does Coach Kitley do that's different or the same with the old air raid or spread tendencies?
Yeah, he definitely has his own style and something that he was able to, craft, whether it was at HCU or is at Western Kentucky or is at Texas Tech. And, he did a phenomenal job out there. And so, I think a lot of times people kind of just lump all this air raid into throwing the ball 100 times, and their run game is really, really good. And I think that's where these guys separate themselves, is not being able to run, not being afraid to run the ball and have their schemes and set up all of their pass concepts with the way that they run. And they've got some great backs, they've got some dynamic receivers. I think their offensive line has done a really good job protecting the guy. He's got a kid pulling the trigger that he's familiar with from his time at Western Kentucky, and I think it's the tempo, it's the pace by which they play that just puts constant pressure on defenses, and probably the reason that they've been able to score so many points and why they present such a challenge.
Thanks for the time. I always learn something.
Well, I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
I appreciate it. It's a great John Kay, defensive coordinator for our Rice Owls. That does it for another episode, so appreciate Kelly and Nick and Walter behind the scenes. Thanks to Coach Abell. Remember, like and subscribe, and thanks for punching us up. Tell a Rice friend or 10. Have a great rest of this day or night. God bless. Go Owls, Rice fight. We'll talk to you next time on the Rice Unfiltered podcast.